new item that I prepared for this show. And it's a flat car, obviously. It's made out of strip wood and popsicle sticks. Rather than hesitate too long, and hopefully anybody into this weathering aspect already has some sort of knowledge as to an airbrush. So I won't go through the whole particulars of an airbrush other than the fact that I use what is called a gravity feed, thus being the paint or whatever solution you put in here is put into this cup, runs down in here, and it runs out the tip here. And this is a double action internal mix Badger Model 100 LG, L standing for the large cup. I have another one here which is the identical brush, but it has the small cup. Normally you wouldn't need a brush with a cup this size, but for this purposes of this class here, I'm going to use this one. This is the identical same brush with a smaller cup. All right, now when I work, I take the handle off. It's just my idiosyncrasy. You do as you please. I'm going to go on, and eventually I'm going to turn this car right here into a car like this without the distressed wood. The distressed wood here was made by a Dremel tool with a small carborundum blade, and you just run it back and forth and it just eats through this wood beautifully, and you end up with something like this. So eventually today this will look like that one. So I have prepared a light mixture here of India ink and alcohol. And to do that, you start by filling a little jar with rubbing alcohol, which is purchased at any store, and then slowly you drop in the ink until you get your desired color. And to get the desired color, you take a sample of the wood that you're using, which is a popsicle stick, and you stick it in there and you pull it out. And when you notice the fact that it's the color you want, perfect. And that's all there is to that. So like I said, I previously did that. So now I'm going to weather this. I'm going to spray it with the India ink, and then we will go on from there into the paints, the Badgers. I use the Model Flex here, water-based paints, and I use 4 basic colors. Everything on this table was done with 4 colors, with the obvious exception of maybe some gray. But I use rust, roof brown, engine black, and earth, in that order. You always try to go from a light color to a dark color. That way you don't have to clean the brush every single time completely, because by the time you put one color in here, you dump out the excess, wipe the bowl, put in a darker color. The first time you push the trigger, the old color is gone and the new is there. So without further ado, we'll get moving here, and you'll see quickly how fast this wood turns old. And always remember, Murphy's Law says I could put this lid on here and that will sit there forever. The day I leave that off, I'll reach for something and it's going to go like that. Always put the lid on after you put something into the brush. Okay? And I'm going to try as best I can to show you up close and perfect how we do this. It's a simple operation. India ink and alcohol, it won't stain anything basically except what you're pointing it at, and so you can just cover the wood, and obviously if you go over this more than once it will get darker, and the beauty of this is you can regulate basically the color that you desire. Eventually, towards the end of this, when we get the paint onto this, I will go over it, dust it lightly with roof brown, which I mentioned before, to get the effect of the previous car that you saw there. So just bear with me here for a minute until I get this thing stained, and then we'll get into the painting end of it. All this does is just treat the wood and get it a base coat. Without further ado, we can move on. I'm going to put this back in here. Now, a double action brush, as far as cleaning, easiest thing in the world. I won't even have to clean it with this at this point, but when I get to the paint, I'll show you how quick and easy it is to clean this brush. I always, as a rule, will just, to avoid any excess, just put it in there. Beauty of not having a jar. See, this is permanently attached forever. Just stick your finger in there, give it a twist, it's clean. Squirt it like that, and that basically, right, for all intents and purposes, is clean. So now, we're going to start with rust. Well, remember, rust, roof brown, engine black, and earth. And you can destroy everything like I have here, basically with 3 colors. I previously mixed this, but I will show you the best way on a brand new jar, which this one is. I lied, this is a new jar of rust, sealed at the factory by Badger. They, in their infinite wisdom, have created the master tool. It's a little electric brush, requires 2 batteries. You place it in the paint, of course, before you turn it on. Turn it off before you take it out, and you've just stirred the paint. Avoided a lot of this stuff. So, now we're going to go with the rust. Now, the thing is, when I start with this, it's going to appear as an orange color. I know what this is going to look like while I'm painting it. You do not at this time. So, and for those of you that keep your paints in a box or something, every time you open a jar, just spray the color on the top of the jar that you're using, so you don't have to pull every bottle out of that box to find out what color you're looking for. You can see it from the top. Now, like I said,